drinks.
All right, there you go. Okay, actually, I'm hoping Elizabeth hasn't got on yet. So we might not have to, we might not be able to wait, because what I was trying to tell Kerry was that the situation in Guyana with the internet is horrible. And this is what's happening. She's saying that even when she's talking to anybody else outside the country, she gets kicked off regularly off the internet. So I just sent it and asked her what kind of system she has, who's a service provider for her, but she hasn't gotten back to me with that yet. But we might as well start. I don't know if Angela, I haven't heard from Angela today. Who else are we waiting for? That's it. All right. Well, we might as well get going if anybody else joins.
By the way, Leland,
Hi.
Dennis, I'm in Toronto, September 14th. Towards the end of September, I'll come back either October 1st or September 30th. Somewhere around there. Well, hopefully I can catch up with you guys. I don't know, coffee somewhere, a beer or something.
Anything that is on your tab, I'm there.
Exactly.
Oh, don't worry, Ron may be on one of his assignments.
Oh, yes.
Especially how his classmates are meeting up just now.
I see that.
Windy.
Yeah, I wish I was there.
I know. They're meeting up at Wendy's.
Oh, yeah. That's not too far.
Avenue, yeah.
That's not too far from me.
Eugene and them boys.
Oh, okay, good. You know, I will try and get in touch with this guy Lionel Singh.
Yes.
He is my ex-Sarobai. I mean, both of us were both married to two sisters.
You're kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
But he lives out of town. But he's out of town now, right? He lives out of town.
I don't know. I don't know where the heck he is.
Yeah, because I think he'd moved out of the GTA and gone somewhere else. But nice guy, Lionel. He used to be on my committee at one time when I was chairman of the Alumni Association. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So September 14th, eh?
Yeah.
Good.
And there's a guy named Mark Prasad, a QC alumnus, a couple of years below me. I don't know if I'll try and get him involved in your
what's his name? Marcus what?
Mark Prasad.
Mark Prasad. I don't know.
Yeah, and he seemed to be someone with a lot of resources. A businessman, I think. So.
Okay.
Hey, you never know. I might try and get him interested in GAN.
Yep.
Well, at this stage, we could use all the help we need. We can get seriously. Definitely need some help.
Yeah, you know, I'm supposed to get the Ramesh Tuku, if you guys know Ramesh Tuku.
Yeah, I know him.
In Guyana, yeah. He's in the class of 68. He was the one that I asked about Pauline Chase and said, "Boy, don't go there."
A lot of people saying the same thing. Don't go there.
Incidentally, talking about people on getting involved, Dave, I haven't mentioned it to you, but I discussed it with Dennis that there's somebody I want to bring on to our committee, especially when we get going. But I'll let you know that later.
Actually, Ramesh's quote is, "Bye, she's a rough nut."
Okay.
Nice one.
And he is, you know, he has a house of Prados. He's on the inside. He's very high up. He used to be GMA, Guyana Marketing Association, or Private Sector Commission. Plus, he's on several boards, including the Guyana Water, GWI, Water Incorporated. I used to like it when it was Guywa, Guyana Water Authority. Now it's GWI, you gotta remember, Incorporated.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I guess we might as well get started. 2:05.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody else come on? We'll have to take him because I'm looking, hopefully get Angela and Elizabeth, but I'm not sure. We'll have to start. All right. Let's run through the agenda. And Carrie, I need you to back me up on this, some of the stuff today. All right. Give you from the top. The 501c3 nonprofit submission is still incomplete. Okay. Now I'm supposed to be getting some help from one of Carrie's friends, Jonathan, but we'll talk about that later. But what has happened was I was hoping to get it done by the end of August, but that's not going to happen now, obviously. We actually was hoping to get done by the end of July. Not going to happen. Now, it unfortunately has put a whole bunch of stuff behind because we've also had to delay our putting our website online because I can't get the bank account set up. Because when we started out, I had Roger Zitman as a treasurer. And the problem is for the nonprofit in the US, I need 2 directors to sign, but they need to be in the same place. Well, Roger's 4 hours up north of me. So I had to amend the constitution, the articles of incorporation, so that I can now do that here until we get things a little more organized. All right. So that is unfortunately delayed. Oh, there's Roger right there. Hey, Raj.
Hey, everybody.
I haven't heard back.
Hey, man.
Hey.
Now, this is to do with the Florida incorporation. Okay. Now, that has impact even on the nonprofit association. Okay. Because you can't get one without the other. So until I get the Florida corporation updated, where I can have the bank account set up, it's no point putting the website online because the donation will then go live. So 3 things are kind of interconnected. So Kerry, you and I are going to need to talk a little more when we're finished about, see if Jonathan can give me some help. Okay? Because I'll update you on that in a few minutes. Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't been in touch with you yet.
Okay, because I sent him the 25 pages and he got back to me and go, hey man, you need an accountant. I said, I have an accountant, but this is not an accountant situation now. It now requires a legal mind, okay, to get some of this stuff done. Anyway, so that's where we are at this point. Now the website has been completed to the extent we're ready to go live if we have a bank account so we can get donations, okay? Now we've trimmed down the website because it's going to become a work in progress. Let me explain what that means. The reason we're going to put it live is because the IRS nonprofit rules allow us to ask for donations internationally or wherever before we get the C3 or the nonprofit designation. So that is what's holding us up right now, okay? Once we are able to go online and accept donations, then we're okay to go. Then as we go along, we'll be able to update the site because that now leads into the next part of this discussion, the platform, all right? Now, Dennis and Carrie were on that call. So I'm gonna kind of ask you, Carrie, first of all, to start off, what you thought, or Dennis, one of you guys, tell me what you thought about the Cronus compared to the first one, okay? If you want to do that way, unless you just want to talk about Cronus, because I'll turn that over.
I presume everyone saw my notes, my summary notes on the Cronus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Just for the highlights. Cronus is sold as a SaaS, software as a service. They do everything. Their service.
Freeze. Frozen.
And the students, they call them students, the mentees. So I don't know about the pricing. Dave, you obviously would be more familiar with that. But they go per license, meaning I don't think, Dave, that they charge for the system per se.
No, they don't.
But you may have tiers like 1 to 10 users, 10 to 50 users, 50 to 100, etc. So I think that might be a better fit than the Higher Learning Thrive, which is sold primarily as a infrastructure as a service, meaning that they would, well, not IaaS, but like a software, but you do it on your premises, meaning we put it on our GoDaddy or whoever who's hosting our website, right? So we would have to maintain any upgrades, and customizations and changes would always have to be done in collaboration with them. So I think given our core competencies, which would be the mentoring itself, and leave aside the platform, let the platform be outsourced, if you like. That's what the SaaS is for. And I think that most of the features there
Hold on a
fit
second.
with
Hold
that
on,
process.
Kerry. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Yes, we started the meeting. Yeah, I was hoping you'd make it. Oh, wow. No, we're on. We're kind of hoping you'd make it. The same problem again. You still can't get on. Wow. Okay, we're gonna have to take this up, I guess. I'm not sure. Now you can hang on to, you can talk to me. I'll leave the phone on so you can hear what we're doing. If you okay. Can you hear Kerry? Kerry was talking right now. Go ahead, Kerry.
Yeah, Elizabeth, if you can hear me, just give her a shout out.
Not very clearly, she's saying, but actually, just
Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a
to
minute.
get in.
I
Rod,
see
did you
she's,
see her?
yeah, she's trying to get on now.
There you go, Elizabeth. Okay, you're on. Good.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm going to shut off the phone, okay, because I'm getting a feedback now. Thanks. Okay, Rod,
right.
she should be on.
Yeah, I see her there. She's got her camera off, but that's all right.
But her audio is on. If her audio is on, I can continue.
No, no, her
Wait a couple
audio
of
isn't
seconds,
on.
Her mic is off, yeah. Shoot, I shouldn't have shut off.
Okay, it seems to be on
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah, I
Yes.
think she should.
She's on now.
Elizabeth, give us a yay if you can hear us.
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
All
Okay,
right,
we can
there
see
you
us.
go. All right.
Hi.
All right. Hi,
Basically, Elizabeth,
Thank
Dave had said that there were some delays for the 501c3, the website and the bank account, which is a change, a modification of the incorporation in the US. So those three are interlinked, and our timelines are going to be pushed a little forward. Then the next thing is the Cronus feedback, which is what I was about to give. And to be brief and succinct, this is different from the higher learning thrive, the one that we saw the first time around, in that this is sold as a service. They do everything. Everything is on their resources, their servers. They're responsible for security. When I said their servers, they do it in AWS cloud. So they're responsible for security, all the customizations, all the modifications that we want as far as functionality and so on and so forth. They charge for licenses rather than here's a system, you get X dollars per year, and then we add on per users and so on. So, and I think what I saw, and I can't speak for Dennis and they, whoever else is going to
Angela was on
use it.
well. Angela was on, yeah.
And right, whoever's going to be, whoever are the users, Dave, you and I are the primary users of this system. You have some mentoring experience, I don't. So whatever it is you guys are looking for, I can't speak to that, but I can speak to like the management software, association management system, that is, which holds your data and all the data fields and so on. Plus the security, I can speak to that. The fact that it's an AWS, you got redundancies, everything from the delivery end of the platform, to me, looks good. Right? Okay. I can't speak to the pricing. The per user pricing, Elizabeth, is done per user.
Okay, let Dennis. Okay. Dennis, you want to give me feedback?
Well, the Cronus certainly, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm familiar with Cronus. Cronus will more than meet our expectations from a process and technology point of view. It's, to me, 50% better than the first demo we had. And if we had to vote on it, I certainly, at this point, would go with Cronus. All the points that Carrie made from the technical perspective, I support. SES is most probably the way we should go anyway. On the people side, I have some concerns about the user side and how is the user training going to be provided and who the users are going to be and what responsibilities they have in addition to their role with the mentorship program. So those are things that Leland is addressing in his note that he sent to you, and Leland will talk about that further. So in terms of the question on the table right now, based on what Kari said from the technical side, from the people process side, I'm happy with the product. I've looked at it previously and have some idea of their deliverables. They have a good education, they have good information on their website, and they seem to be responsive to questions that are directed to them without a $ immediately appearing. So that's my feedback.
All right, I want to add something very quickly because Angela's not on, I'm not sure she's going to be in. One of the things that Kerry didn't mention, and probably Dennis either, was the fact of, since it's a complete service, okay, one of the issues that I had originally, which we did talk about on the demo, was going from our GAN website to Kronos, okay? That was the key. So all the functionality, everything else works great. I was more concerned with leaving our website to go to Kronos. But if you remember, and we don't need to go into that in detail today, but on our website, we have something called technology, which is where that Kronos button, even though I don't want it to be called Kronos, but whatever that button is, it will take them immediately to the Kronos system. And then from what Kerry is saying, everything is included there, from security, liability, including the Children Protection Act, which is a huge deal, okay? And which we're going to even need when we're putting in for nonprofit designation. We have to show that children are protected under this process. So there's a lot of good stuff to do with Kronos, okay?
That's true. I think that Dave is now down to pricing because
well, yes.
they're ISO 27001 and FedRAMP
guys. I know you're a detail guy with money, but I want to tell you something. I don't care what it costs. I need something that's going to work. You get what I'm saying? I don't mind if we have to go for more money in that sense. So I don't want us to be so budget conscious that we forget what we're trying to achieve.
But Dennis did make a good point in that post setup, which, by the way, they will provide you with 4 or 5 sessions, setup sessions,
correct,
where everybody's involved, so everybody knows how the thing is set up and how it's running. But from what Dennis was saying too, that their post setup support without the $signs, they don't have $signs. Indeed,
no, it's very good.
That's a good thing. They're very responsive.
Yes, we will have a customer manager who works with us to fulfill
right.
We need ongoing.
He'll be our man on the inside, yes, of that Kronos.
Now, what I feel, and Kerry, you made a good point. It's not, and Dennis also was talking about the users. The users are both the mentors and the mentees. It's just a numbering system. And Kerry brought up a good point, up to 100 maybe, and then 2 to 500, and maybe 500 plus. We need some kind of a pricing model so we can see what we're in for. Because let's face it, when we start, we might only be needing less than 100 students or mentors, okay? But in the second year, we might need 300. So we don't
you can scale up.
Correct, you can scale up. And that's what
you can scale up on your phases. Correct. I just want to ask Dennis one last thing, which is, you know, the Higher Learning Thrive sold this social media thing, which Kronos calls circles, I think. Circles, they call it circles, right? Yeah. You're happy with that? Whatever you're looking for, social media platform wise, like Facebook?
That's a question for me?
Yeah. How do you use Kronos?
Could you clarify a little bit more?
I'm not sure that's what Dennis was talking about, Kerry.
When we were dealing with Higher Learning, they said you could do a social media branding. Like how, and this is where the email, remember the 3 deliverables, right?
Right.
App, web app, phone app, and
email.
And the email, right? The email will be a digest, daily or weekly.
Right.
And that is where the social media, like say, within GAN, you have oil and gas group, which has its own sub-ecosystem, like a
Right.
social media site, where
Right.
the members of that oil and gas, for instance, can communicate and do other stuff. Then you have the aerospace for aeronautical.
Yeah.
It can have their own. Likewise, Cronus has what you call circles. But we didn't get a demo of this
That's
circle.
right.
No, we didn't get
get
that demo.
We didn't get that. So what I wanted to ask you is, having used the Cronus before, are you happy with circles?
Well, I haven't used Kronos before. What I did when Dave said we were going to have a demo, I visited their website to see how it ties in with what Leland and I were doing. And I found that it was adequate or more than adequate. In terms of the circles, we haven't really discussed it in a way that I could evaluate what we are thinking of doing versus what their circles offer. So I'd be shooting in the dark. As Leland will explain some of the questions we still have to be answered. And I think when we get that information, we could be more pointed in determining the question that you asked, which is important because we need to get cross communication. So that we have to tie in somewhere as we expand the program with social networking. But quite frankly, I'll be shooting from the hip if I try to answer at the moment.
All right.
Well, that guy did say that it will satisfy the kind of features we're looking for.
Yes, I think so.
Social network.
Well, at some point,
he had also talked about one-on-one mentoring.
correct.
Yeah.
Where you could be in a group and then fall out and say, look, I need one-on-one.
Yeah, because Carrie, the one-on-one is going to become very important as we move away into phase 2 and phase 3, and now Dave has a phase 4. There's going to be a lot of ad hoc communication, and that one-on-one link has to be there, especially when mentoring. For example, if you were mentoring me and we were well into the mentoring, I may want to pick up a communication through social media to get in touch with you very quickly to clarify something within the mentoring that you're providing to me. So we're going to have quite a lot of flexibility in the communication network, either in GAN or within the program itself.
Point. Dennis, please make a note of that. That is a very key point. And Leland, try to remember this one. If the mentee wants to get in touch with a mentor outside of the program, A, it's not going to be recorded, and B, it's not going to be in the library where we can security. That is a huge deal. And that's what the school had asked previously. How are the children protected? You get it? So be careful when we start looking at this connection. We really, because remember, a student has a password and a login code to get into the system.
Right.
If they want to do the social connection outside of it, that bothers me. Because that's
well,
Dave, get involved.
Dave, let me clarify. There are two different things. The one that includes presence, meaning the mentor is on, and then he sees a list of people with the green light. Remember, it said green light. Green light says this person is on. Likewise, the mentor, the mentee, the student will see, hey, this professor is on, or teacher, whatever. This mentor. Let me connect to him one-on-one. So that is separate from the peer, the one-to-one mentoring. One-to-one would have to go through your hygiene, your massaging. Let's say the GAN administration. You suss out the mentor and the mentee and you approve it. That's a different process from the circles thing. Let me just quickly tell you what they have.
Yeah, the mentoring circles.
Yeah, two different things. The mentoring circle is like we dealing with oil and gas, and then suddenly 3 people in the group, they're more interested in, let's say, upstream stuff. So they form a group where they can exchange blogs and ideas and debates. Here's what Kronos says about the circles. The mentoring circles concept leans towards the peer-to-peer side of mentoring of the the mentoring house. In Circle's program, you encourage participants from all the levels of the organization to propose and own a topic. Like for instance, 3 people in oil and gas and 2 people in, say, airplane flying. They may be interested in something called business process or management process or Six Sigma, something of that nature. So it's kind of tangential to their core topic, but they may want to form a group, a social media group, social networking group. That is what the circles do. The one-to-one mentoring is a different animal, 2 different things.
That's true.
But isn't it always going to be within the Cronus setup? See what I'm saying?
No, it will be.
That's what I
The
thought.
circles is Cronus.
The circle is Cronus, right?
Right, and the one-to-one is within Cronus, but as you rightly said, recording, the video recording, I think he said that, no, he did say that.
No, it was, what he said was it'll be recorded, but you won't be available unless a special request is made.
Oh, you
Let's
asked
say
for it,
somebody
right,
makes a
right.
complaint, okay?
Okay.
A parent gets a complaint. Look, I didn't like
Right,
what's went
right.
on. Right.
I was thinking about the child protection thing. Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, everything is recorded. That's right.
Correct.
Everything is
Well,
recorded.
that's why I wanted, I don't want us to get the word social media confused with the social circle within Cronus.
Yeah.
Because everything has to be controlled. You get it? And from my research recently, I realized this is a serious issue to prevent predators from getting into the system and attacking these young people. Okay? Because that's what's going on everywhere in the world today. So we have to be conscious of this fact. And by the way, Kerry brought up a good point last week that I haven't spoken to Cronus about yet, about using Cronus as a support base when we go for our nonprofit. In other words, to include them in our funding proposal, okay? To say, look what we're using. This service has been in place for over 50 years. They've done incredible work with nonprofits, universities. I mean, they got a ton of customers all over the world. So they're a very reputable organization, which should help us in our funding process. All right. I don't know if anybody else has any question on Cronus, because if you haven't seen it, you probably, and by the way, I will eventually get everybody involved in a Cronus demo. It's just we're piecing things together so that we have more knowledge as we go along. We probably have 4 or 5 of these demos, before we make a decision. But I like the fact that we're heading with Cronus. I've certainly looked at it now 3 or 4 times, Dennis, just like you did. I'm impressed. Okay, we have all the pieces of the puzzle that we have, that we need. Okay,
Dave.
Yep.
The presentation we just had was more technical. Correct. And as Gary can reinforce, because he was very involved with it. Now, the next time we're on with Cronus, maybe you can get them to do a bit of user demo.
Right. The feature side. Feature side rather than the platform side.
Semi one. Go ahead, Dennis. I like that. Demo. From a functionality point of view, or a user as a mentor or mentee?
A user from a user. If the user is going to be the admin person,
yes, okay.
we need some demo for how the admin uses the system. Right. If there's the interaction between mentor or mentee, or if we're in phase 1 and providing education to in a group session,
yes,
we have to have that flexibility.
Correct. All right.
So they may want to demonstrate a group mentoring, right, and a one-on-one. But by the time we get there, we most probably will develop some questions.
Yes,
because
I agree.
We will be
we'll get more knowledge
further ahead on that.
To fine-tune it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, the first time with Cronus was more on platform side, correct, on the platform. Yep. This time what Dennis is asking for is 2 things. From the user experience, and yes, primarily the admin user. Remember they talked about an admin logon page with a UI, its own UI, correct, which I did send out in my my document.
No problem. All right, I think we can do this. You guys want to start off with the KBI stuff, Dennis and Leland?
Leland is up.
Okay, I can just quickly go over it. At our last meeting, I had done some stuff and sent out some stuff on on what we're going to do in terms of the career guidance program. But based on information I've received, some of it is now revised. So the first thing I'm suggesting that we have to do is that Dave must have a discussion with the chairman of the board of governors and the headmistress for us to have a discussions with the QC Career Guidance counselor to ask her or him a number of questions that we need to have updated so we can really build a program to go ahead. So Dave must get, with that discussion, get the green light for the name of the person and the email and whatever for us to have a discussion with her to ask a number of questions. And let me tell you just some of the questions we're looking for. What we would like to discuss with her is discuss with her the current program that they have at the moment, and if there were any concerns about the current program, either from the students or from the administrations. So we want to know if there were any problems that emanated from what they're doing at the moment. The other one is, where will the programs be presented? Is it going to be in the assembly hall? Is it going to be in a classroom? And what time the presentations are going to be held? Is it during class time or after classes when school is finished? We need to find out, currently, are the presentations held virtually, in person, or both? The other thing we were thinking about is who selects the presenters and how are they selected? Is it based on what kind of knowledge they have, what kind of information that they're bringing to, and what industry that they're in it? So we need to find out how they were selected and how it's going to be done. Also, and I know this had been discussed before, is what are the tools are going to be required to have the career guidance program on. And when I say tools, I'm talking about an overhead projector, overhead screens, laptops. Are those things going to be there for the presentations when they start? Don't know. Those are things that we need to find out. And one of the other important things we were thinking about is, would the QC career guidance counselor, is she going to be the administrator of the career guidance program? So those are things we need to have when Dave gets the okay for us to talk with her. Those are some of the questions we need to discuss with her. We really can't go any further with anything else until that is already decided on. And it's now going to be left to Dave to have that discussions with the board of governors and also with the headmistress, because the two of them must be involved in saying, okay, yes, you can talk to her, and this is her number, and this is her email, and you can go ahead and set up when you'll have a discussion with her. That's going to be primary before we can even start talking about a career guidance program.
All right, good stuff. All right,
anything else from you, Dennis?
No, I think you did. You covered everything we talked about.
I just have a question. I have a question, Leland.
Sure.
I know that you're waiting on Dave to have this conversation with the career guidance counselor teacher, the name of which I had given to you guys before. As you were talking, I was trying to pull up the name. It used to be someone who, she had the name of somebody who was prominent at Bishop's. Then she went to Berbice High School.
Right, so that's the last thing I heard. Yeah, correct.
Right, and she handed over to someone, and I had the name of that someone who is a career guidance, and they deal with grade 9 students. The other
Right.
questions that you ask, yes, those are questions that Dave will have to find out from this person. But in
Yeah.
the meantime, can Gan not start do some background work? Like for instance, remember I talked in the beginning about doing a market survey and figure out what are the areas we should be targeting. Should it be oil and gas? Should it be music? Should it be, aircraft maintenance or something? So those are areas, those are things I think you guys can do. I don't know how you're going to do it. And this is why, Dave, I was thinking if you had this club, some sort of club at, the extracurricular society at Queens College, where you can deal with someone, and don't forget, they deal with the prefects and the students themselves. So they can provide feedback, because when the New York chapter was doing its social counseling thing, they did a sort of a marketing effort in that area too. So that's one thing. The second thing is, GAN can in itself know who the resources we can tap into, let's say April of 2023, if we were to get started then, and say, look, let's start having dialogue with these people, get them on board. And I don't know if you have to think in terms of costs. I know Dave will say that. Don't worry, the cost fund, they could take care of that. but yeah, these are the things I believe you guys can do in the meantime, rather than just do nothing and wait for Dave to come back.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things.
Could I?
Very good suggestions. But one of the things we had discussed was in terms of the program for the students. What we would like to see is have a discussion with the students to determine what they would like, rather than we in North America saying what the student should be interested in. So that's our main concern. So that when we start talking with the career guidance counselor, that's one of the areas we're going to suggest these grade 9 students. And we can do it either by talking to them or doing some kind of a survey with them to find out what they're interested in, because there's absolutely no point in us giving them a guidance program and then they're really not interested in those topics. They may have something totally different, on their minds. But
all right, Leland,
good point, Carrie.
You're correct.
Yep.
But let me go back to what Carrie had just said, okay? There is an idea we're incubating here about having not a social, but some kind of a club from these prefects that have some group to give us that information from the students, okay, initially, all right? So in other words, we need something from the students, but you're not going to be able to get it individually unless you have somebody able to group them together. And I got to tell you the truth, Leland, you're asking a lot of questions we may not get answers to, because the way this guidance counselor, I have two answers for you already. The way the guidance counselor was setting up for the last 2 years is, if you want to become a mentor, please let me know who it is. That's the first question. They weren't identifying anybody, all right? They couldn't, because they didn't know what the program was about. Now, however, it may be a little different, because now there's so many more new industries in Guyana, and it may be a lot more interest from students, okay? That was the first problem. The second problem is, it's not just grade 9. Pauline Chase on the Board of Governors 2 weeks ago was talking about grade 3, starting in grade 3. Okay?
No, tell me, grade 3 is what age?
I have no, at this stage, Leland.
No, because as Carrie said, and it was in documentation.
That's right.
That the career guidance is grade 9.
Correct.
Grade 9, yeah.
Before we talked to the Board of Governors and Pauline, okay? That's why they want the school wired, period, because they want this guidance counseling for human development, okay? Not just career guidance alone in that narrow context, okay? They want to be able to have it at different levels throughout the school, all right? So we don't have things like time of day or whatever at this point. It's not going to be in the auditorium or in a classroom. It's going to be wherever the need is once it's wired. That's why I said to you, the cost is immaterial at this point, because it's a lot larger program than what we originally had indicated, where we were going to provide this to a classroom. It's not going to be to a classroom anymore, okay? So it's a different process. And
so when is this thing with wiring actually come about and be finished?
Well,
when will that be?
Nate, that will depend on us. Believe what I'm telling you.
Well,
That will
well, let
depend
me
on
add,
us.
let me add, now I see why
Right.
Dave's approach towards the OSC. Because the OSC, and they're closer to the action, they can actually give you the marketing intelligence, what students want. They can do some kind of program, some exercise, some process that could figure that out. And the second thing is Dave talked about the wired, addressing the location thing, right? If the entire school is wired, well, when I say wired, I mean they have access through wireless access points. They're wired wireless, an oxymoron. But anyway, once that is the case, then I can now see where OSA comes into it. Because Dave, I believe you were having conversations, or your thinking is to have conversation with them and with e-networks over this whole bit of wiring, right?
Okay. But what I was saying was the question that Leland has, which are all correct, they're not as fixed or definitive as you might want to believe right now. This is still a very much, not from our point of view, it's still very much a work in progress in Guyana. They've had local, you asked the question, is it local? Yes, they've had people coming in to give speeches, okay? That's their career guidance. They speak for an hour, okay? And nobody has a list of what be needed or what they're asking. They're saying, can we have you? Can somebody come in to give us a speech?
Yeah, but you see, but I think that's the wrong way of doing it.
I agree.
You're telling people to come in to tell them what they should be doing instead of asking the students
what
they would want.
Yeah.
Well, Leland, they're checking the grade 9 guidance counselors, just checking boxes. Right. Ministry of Education, hey, we had 5 lecturers and they talked. Right. No follow-up, no nothing.
That's their career guidance. That's why this
exactly. That's why Gan and KBI fills that gap.
Fills the gap. That's right. Carrie's correct. You can't wait for answers. If we do that, we wait till never early morning. It's not going to happen. Exactly.
And don't forget, Leila, all they're concerned about is checking boxes. Teaching today is not like long ago.
Nope.
Where you teach for the love of labor, right?
No. Having said that, Kerry, one of the things that came out at Transforming Guyana, the latest one, if you remember, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Guyana, the new lady, Paloma Martin, was very clear. She said, what we need is human capital development in the country. So she's on board. I sent her an email already. I'm saying these are people we can work with to find out what is needed. Now, here's the key, Leland. Nowhere has anybody addressed the level at which we're trying to, at the bottom of this pyramid. Everybody is either where the students already graduated or people are going to work or adults. That's where the need is in Guyana right now. Was it, Carrie, 160,000 people they need now. Imagine that.
Yeah.
160,000 trained workers.
For the workforce.
That's right. You get it? But that's the problem. Right now, we're just trying to fill the gap at the bottom.
Dave.
Terrence Blackman, the math camp, the robotics club. There's a whole bunch of stuff we need to start getting into the school. And Leland, the questions you have are correct. Unfortunately, the answers are not there. Okay.
Dave, but hold a moment. Sure. The spiel you just give is great, but it's not for this generation. The things you just talked about is somewhere down the road, maybe not even in your lifetime. So what Leland is talking about is what we can do in the short term. And the questions he's got, hold on, let me finish. So we have 2 sources of information. Carrie is in Guyana quite often, I'm told. And we have a lady on, I forgot her name,
Elizabeth,
who's actually living and working there. And she's in business there, so she has a better idea of the business community than we can guess about. What Leland and I are trying to get to is we have a graduating class that we just had. 2 things are going to happen. They're either going to go on for a couple of years on their A levels, or they're getting out into the job market, or they're going to tertiary education somewhere else in the world. As far as I'm concerned, we're working towards a midterm, maybe within the next 5 years, of having a program in place and people trained and software in place to facilitate grade 9 students with a better choice of a career path or tertiary education. And I think we need to build, I think Carrie and, excuse me, I've forgotten the name of the lady on board.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Her
Carrie,
name is down there. Yeah.
Carrie and Elizabeth are the people we have to rely on for practical information. And what Leland and I are trying to do is, in the short term, liaise with the school to try to not theorize and wishfully down the road, but to practically deal with the next graduating class as best as we can to provide them a better path of choice. So there's there's what we need, what we wish we need, and the grandeur that is nothing that's going to happen in my lifetime anyway. So, Dave, I think we want to focus on the questions that Leland brought up as part of our project.
Right.
Dennis, if I may address what you just said, and Leland as well. When me and a couple of guys had set up the Wakenham Schools Association back in 1992, right? We figured, however it happens, if we could get a Bill Gates from Wakanab 20 years from now, just simply by motivation, right? We were basically putting software there, having somebody teach them Microsoft Word and Excel. That's not a big deal, but you inspire people. So what Gan and KBI can do this from day one is to inspire. We don't have to actually go through the minutiae of the actual, showing people the path, but inspire them. That's what I think. Anyway, the second thing is Miss Jarvis is the woman who used to be the counselor. So she would have all those records, I guess, Dave. Maybe there's a repository of the records, who taught what, how frequent, which class. Well, it's grade 9.
But you see, that is exactly what we are saying. That's why we need to talk to those people in Guyana to get that kind of information.
But Jarvis is no longer there. Miss Henry is the one who took over from her. Right?
Yeah, well, Miss Henry would be able to give us that kind of information. And as you correctly said, she would have all the documentation and the stuff from Miss Jarvis before. So she should be able to give us some answers almost without even thinking.
Yeah, and Dave, I will have to add you to that WhatsApp group with the headmistress, Miss Henry, Miss Liverpool, and I think the geography teacher.
Okay, but let me put a pin in that for you, because all of those conversations are pretty important. But if we don't get a buy-in from the Board of Governors and the headmistress, we lost sight of it. So before we get stuff from Mrs. Henry.
But this is what we're saying, that you've got to do, get that buy-in and come back to us and says, okay, guys, go ahead.
Leland, I've been working on this for 2 months, trying to get some answers on that. Just what you're asking. I haven't gotten to those people yet. That's the problem. I have to go through a third party now to get a meeting with Marcel. Okay. Now, hopefully, now that Elizabeth's on board, we'll be able to get a closer connection. We're trying to build relationships.
Yeah, I realize that, but we can't do anything before you get that information.
Okay,
before you get that green light.
You can't do that. The other things will have to go ahead and do it. So I mean, we still have to proceed. We have lots of things we got to get done.
Elizabeth looks like she wants to say something.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
No, not really. I'm just listening to
Okay.
I thought Elizabeth would say, I'll grab Marcel tomorrow.
But she's having a problem getting hold of Marcel too.
I'll try to get hold of him later this evening, dear.
By the way, his sister is that doctor at the CLBD, right?
Sorry?
Her Marcel's sister is the doctor who's at CLBD, Center for Local Business Development.
Oh, I didn't know that.
North. Yeah, North Road and Orange Street, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Natasha Gaskin?
Natasha Gaskin, yeah. Is the same family, brother, sister?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're asking.
Yes,
I
she's
was asking.
asking.
I was asking.
I don't think so.
Anyhow, I think we have finished item 3 on the KBI program. We know where we have to go now.
Okay, not a problem. Which is now brings us to a very important point, which is Rod's trip to Guyana. Because again, we're trying to cement some relationships here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked Marcel weeks ago, and now Elizabeth's on board, to try and set up meetings with him so he can meet with just that Board of Governors, the headmistress, Miss Henry, and Pauline Chase. Elizabeth, I hope you manage to put this together for when Rod is there, because he's only there for a few days.
Elizabeth, I'm looking at
the
Wednesday, the 31st. If something could happen on that day.
Okay. Okay, I'll talk to Marcel.
That evening, by the way, Elizabeth, I will invite you to come to the University of Guyana. We're having a reception in honor of Guyana Speaks. That's the initiative that I run with my wife here. We're just having reception, thanking those that have participated over the years. I'll forward you an invitation. It's free of charge, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, Rod, also, remember, I added you to that book with Alim and this guy, Romesh from CompuServe. So that the three of you can then go to the headmistress, arrange with the headmistress to go and see that, talk about the networking side of things.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe in the afternoon of the 31st, maybe 2 o'clock or something like that.
Well, we'll talk as the time goes, but you have to get a briefing from Dave, because by that time,
Dave
would have had conversations with
exactly
Pauline Chase and what the guy Vokesh Prasad at eNetworks.
Yeah,
right?
be aware. I'm already in conversation with Pauline and Marcel, pursuant to the historical project.
The kiosk archive thing that you're doing. Yes. Well, there you go. We have an entree into her through you.
And we just need to cement that. We just need to cement that relationship as close as we can. So Elizabeth has that facility once you leave, that we know we have access to Mrs. Henry and all the other downstream information we need. Because we can't only wait for Marcel. Once we have approval that, yes, this is a project that they like, which Pauline has said she would, we need to have approval now to deal with everybody else. You can't just go to these people because they're going to say, hey, do you have any approval from the Board of Governors to get this done? So this is what
I would like to recommend that Elizabeth be our point person in Guyana.
Well, she's on the ground. Absolutely.
She's there. She's there. And maybe, Rod, when you get together with Elizabeth and hopefully Pauline, and Marcel, that Elizabeth will be elevated to that status, and she'll be dealing with those two people. So you have the board and you have the OSA.
Yeah.
And of course, you would have. Elizabeth would have ingratiated herself with Candice K. Stevens, who is the headmistress, right? The other teachers are wonderful. She's a wonderful person, very personable. It's easy to deal with.
Here's one of the things that came up recently.
If I may.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Just, there was a little thing that passed a while back. I just wanted to give you a perspective as to what grade 9 is. Grade 6 is when they write common entrance at about 10 or 11. Grade 9 is what you would have called Form 3 long ago. That's just to let you know what age range you're talking about.
Okay,
That's
Elizabeth, the thing is, in New York, grade 8 is the equivalent of third form, and grade 9 is for upper school, like upper middle school. So you go to grade 9 is 14. Yeah, grade 9 you're 14, it's fourth form. Think fourth form.
Third.
No,
I think
Pauline said third.
Grade 9.
Pauline kept mentioning third.
I'm not hearing very clearly.
Go ahead, Elizabeth. Form 3 is what Pauline was saying is where the career guidance started.
That's grade 9.
Sorry, Dave, I can't hear you very well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it says internet. Elizabeth, this is what I was asking. It keeps saying your internet cable is unstable, your internet connection. I'm gonna email you
My
something on
internet
that later.
connection?
Yes.
Well,
So
I'll have to
can you
talk
hear
to
me
them
now?
because this is supposed to be the most up-to-date one that they have.
Who's your provider? Who's your provider?
AT&T.
Well, I hear.
You got Blaze? They
No,
give you
I've
Blaze?
had Blaze before, but then they persuaded me to get something called Fiber Plus, which is the newest
Okay.
technology they have. And they're
Okay.
charging me a fortune.
Okay.
Okay, can I ask Elizabeth a question on, and Carrie, you can check this out. Grade 6 is what age group?
Grade 6 is 10 or 11. That's when they write common entrance.
Right, common entrance. Okay.
Grade
Yeah,
7 is first form.
in the United States, generally speaking, grade 6 is when you're about to end primary level education. Grade 8 is when you're about to end junior high school. So grade 9 starts senior high, and in QC, you wear your long pants in fourth form, not in third form, right? So, and grade 12 would be the equivalent of lower 6.
Yeah.
So if you do 9 as fourth, 10 as fifth, 11 is lower 6.
Yeah.
No.
No, at Elizabeth, in grade 9,
could be right.
grade 9 would be the ages of the kids.
Grade 9, let's see. 11,
13 to 14.
13 to 14.
13 to 14.
Yeah, let's not talk.
And
let's
what
not
about
talk
grade
US.
What
3?
we would have called third form.
Yeah, and what about grade 3?
Grade
What is
3
primary
is
school? A
primary.
little ABC, big ABC, or
Yeah,
standard 1.
Yeah, but Dave is saying that they want this program to start at little ABC. Come on, guys.
No.
You said
No.
grade
You got it
3,
wrong.
buddy.
No.
I heard him say grade 3 before. I think that was a misspeak.
You're wrong. I never said the start at ABC. If Pauline is the one that said it started in grade 3. I don't know what that is, because that's what Elizabeth.
But we
now
know
told me.
here,
I think
we
she
know
meant
here
form
what
3.
grade 3 is.
No, Dave, I think she meant form 3.
Form 3.
So form 3 equals grade 9. That's how we should be thinking.
There you go.
That's
Because
one thing. The
don't
other
forget that
thing,
QC. Okay, great.
I heard someone mention somebody who has knowledge of the business community and so on. And I wanted to mention that my last job was with the Private Sector Commission, so I tend to know most of the business community.
Right.
Ramesh Duku. That's the name I mentioned, Elizabeth.
Oh, I didn't hear the name. I just heard business community.
Ramesh Duku. Let me repeat it. Ramesh Duku. Do you copy?
Send her an email. All right. I'll send her an email.
Okay.
So I think we know understanding, especially Dave, is that when she's talking about 3 is really form 3, which is grade 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is what we are looking at.
Yes.
Okay.
We weren't looking at anything below grade 9.
That's right.
Well, Dave, you know when we were in QC, right? To go into fourth form, that's when you figure out at grade form 3, I can do science, I can do arts, or what have you.
Whatever. Yeah.
So that's where the mentoring is to funnel students into specific areas that their aptitude is. You got at sciences, and that's where the mentoring will shape them. Not the mentoring, the guidance counseling. Let me not say mentoring, because mentoring for us probably be 5th and 6th for lower 6, because you're trying to hone their vocational thinking.
Right. Because we said that we got to determine the topics the students who were being grade 9 would be interested in from a career point of view.
Right.
I don't know that GAN will start at grade 9. I think GAN will start at, if grade 9 is third form, we will probably start at grade 11. No?
Well,
11 and 12, that would be a target.
But grade 9 is 13 to 14. And the impression I received was the start actually doing the career guidance from grade 9. That's the impression that I'm been working on.
You are correct. Because 2 years ago, that's how Mrs. Jarvis started the program.
Right.
Mrs. Jarvis was starting and maybe I got it wrong, it was Form 3, which is grade 9. That's where it started. But all at that time, Leland, they were asking, what can you provide? They were just throwing the door wide open. What Dennis is asking for now is probably what is coming down the pipe for the next 2 to 5 years. That's where we probably have to focus our attention on to find what the students are more interested in. All right. But Kerry's also got a correct thing. We need to inspire the
When
students
you
to look for
start the
something.
career guidance, I'm not sure what pertains at QC at the moment, but it has traditionally been the case where in Form 4, they stream the kids, those who are interested in science, arts, business, etc.
Mhm.
So since they're streaming in grade 10 or fourth form, it might make sense to start the guidance in Form 3 so they'll have a better idea of what they want to specialize in.
That sounds very reasonable to me. Exactly.
I agree with that.
Exactly.
Now let's go back to what Dennis brought up before, and Leland. Where do we find the interest from the students? How, Elizabeth, this is something we're gonna have to look at. How do we get a group of students together to say what they're interested? We need some kind of a survey, some mechanism to get feedback, okay? Because in our website, we only have 6 particular subjects that we kind of identified from what's going on in the country. But that's not maybe necessarily where the students' minds are at or their interest level is. So we also need to find out what they're interested in.
May I
Kerry
make
had
a
good
suggestion?
idea. Sorry, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Kerry alluded to this earlier, a club of some
A
sort.
club.
Now,
Yes.
Lictor Live seems to be quite active.
Yeah.
I would think some association with Lictor Live could pull in some valuable individuals.
Bingo, Rod. Bingo, bingo,
Wow.
bingo. That's why Dave, yesterday I kept asking in the New York chapter meeting,
Yes.
any update on this Lictor Live
That's right.
room? Where do they meet?
They're already, they send me streams of things they're doing all the time.
That's, I know, with the archive thing. That's why I think Lictor Live, if we don't form our own mentoring club, then Lictor Live would be it. But guys, by the way, I gotta leave in about 3 minutes. I should have said this from the beginning. If we could keep this to like 1 hour.
Yeah.
I have to be at some place at 3:30 to close.
And don't forget, Carrie, email
Yeah.
us when you're in Toronto, eh?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I've made notes. I will do up to whatever we
Okay.
discussed. I don't know if there's any other thing else you want to rapid fire through quickly, Dave, before I leave.
Well, no, because it's being recorded anyway, Kerry. So whatever you have would be great. And then Rod's recording will fill you in and what's going on, because it's only now to update the project. So we're okay.
Yeah.
I think this is good. But
Yeah, well, you
this
know, I
Lictor
usually
Live at
get
the
these
end,
things out in
this Lictor
half an hour.
Live is a huge deal. I agree. And Kerry, we talked about this. This Lictor Live could be the club to give us the input that we need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not
So-
reinvent the wheel. It's already there.
Actually, you're
Exactly.
absolutely correct, Rod. We do not need to invent the wheel.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't need-
Rod, this is one of your assignments. When you're in Guyana, you grab the 2 people, the president and the secretary of the association of the club, and
Let
say,
me do that.
this is what we want. Here are the questions. Let Dave give you the questions to ask.
Correct.
And let them farm it out
Right.
to 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah.
And then send
on.
it back in
Absolutely.
as a one summary for us to use. Correct.
Yes.
Digital,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do it digitally, you know.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
We
do
can
it.
talk about that.
All
Guys,
right, you go along, Gary.
Rod, we can talk.
Yeah, we will.
Well,
right,
Elizabeth,
Dave.
you can hear what's going on with the need. The need, quite frankly, is communication, okay? We're lacking communication with the school. This has been a severe problem for the last 8 months, okay? To have a connection with the school through the Board of Governors, okay? We've not been able to establish that. So when Marcel decided he would like to become a director, there's some rationale that says he's got to come to the plate with information. We can't just have the guy as a director and he's not giving you the information. Look, it took us 3 weeks just to get his resume. I mean, what is going on with this guy? Now we're all busy. I know you've got a business to run, so does he. But we're trying to help here. We're trying to help the students. Why can't he get some information that doesn't have to come through Pauline? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to hopefully ask you, not only when Rod is there, but to start now cementing that relationship so we can get almost well, I know I can't say instantaneous feedback, but that's what I would like. If I send an email out, I'd like to get a response the same day, not in the next week, because this has been my issue all along. And I like how you guys talk, get this information and get that information. It ain't there. It is not there.
Well, we still gotta try. But the other thing, Dave, is when are you planning on having another meeting with Marcel and with the QC OSA and with
it is supposed to be this week, but it's been 2 weeks. We're waiting to get confirmation. Marcel only sent us an email last week. If Elizabeth, you remember, he said he's trying to get a meeting this week. That's the words I'm getting, okay? All the time I'm getting the same thing. And I'm realizing that Elizabeth had the same problem getting hold of this guy, all right? That's all I can tell you. I am trying. It's not as if we're not doing it.
He's the same with me, Dave, when I had some historical questions to ask.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's like if I'm left out to hanging in a tree, but it's I understand everybody's having the same problem. Is he? I don't want to get into that. But Elizabeth, I'm leaving it. I'm unfortunately leaving up to you to try and cement us a closer relationship with him.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, could you tell me, please, what is the structure of authority? Who reports to whom? The school officials report to the Board of Governors or the other way around?
The Board of Governors is supposed to be the top of the pyramid. The ministry is outside of that, looking after the school, but the Board of Governors technically is in charge of the school. All right, that's where it is. So Marcel should be the guy we need approvals from. Yet in our last conversation, he's sort of devolving his responsibility to Pauline, and Pauline was running that meeting. It was okay, but he wasn't that involved. I don't remember.
Does the headmistress sit as a board member as well? Is she a board member?
Yes, Pauline is a board member, yes.
No, the headmistress.
The headmistress.
But she's never, good point. She is, but she's not at these meetings. It seems like they're keeping information from her.
No, she needs to be there. She needs
Yeah. Elizabeth, you might want to establish your connection with Miss, what's Stephen? Yeah. What's her first name?
What's the name of the headmistress?
Candace Stephen.
Candace Stevens?
Yeah. Elizabeth, see if you can start some connection with her, okay? That may be a good place. All right.
Okay.
And we understand I haven't spoken to the other folks yet, Elizabeth, but I understand that you may be asked to do a lot more in terms of connectivity, all right? So that 1 day a week that we'd initially talked about is probably not going to happen. I'm going to have to discuss that when we're looking after the budget and everything else, okay? That is something I understand. So I'm going to put a bit more of a bit of a load on you in that sense. Connection, okay? I don't know how to put it that way, but maybe the telephone is not enough. I don't know. I just can't understand why I can understand us in North America not getting instant communication with anybody. I pick up the phone. You're the only person I can talk to almost regularly. All right. Even Vishak Prasad, who's running e-networks, I barely can talk to him once a week. I try to get hold of people. Nobody answers the phone.
David's a sense of urgency, and in North America, it's far different to Guyana. Everything is just now.
Yeah, I agree. And also, Dave, this is your #1 project. For them, GAN is not their #1. So they got other things that they're doing, and GAN is going to be #4 or 5 or 6.
Correct.
So don't be surprised.
I'm not surprised. Phew. But hey, guys, you're the ones that are saying get this and get that, and I'm trying to explain to you why it ain't happening on anybody else's schedule. I've been trying to get this.
There are very little things that we're asking for that we can get. Talk to the Board of Governors. We get the information. Now it'll be interesting if after he says he can say 2 things. I'm sorry, I'm not allowing you to have a discussion with the counselor, or he can say, yes, you can have a discussion with the counselor, and then she can either answer some of those questions that we're asking, or she can say, look, I don't have a clue what you're asking about. And that is 0. That is done.
Okay. Yep. Well, that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. you're preaching to the choir here. I've been trying desperately. It's just great that I have Elizabeth now. I'm sorry to say it this way, but I know I'm gonna have to put a little more pressure on Elizabeth to make those connections for me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that you can manage that.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for being there.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And Elizabeth, if you can, I had talked to Natasha Gaskin. Now, I didn't know, I still don't
I
know.
missed that, sorry?
I spoke to Natasha Gaskin a couple of times, but I don't know that she's any connection with Marcel. But she has a program to do with graduates, okay, to do with adult training. And she said a program for students would be tremendous. But I didn't know whether it could connect her with Marcel or not. So do you know if there's a family relationship or something between these two?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Her
I mean,
name is
I know
Gaskin
her and I
Peters.
know Marcel, but I never thought of there being a connection between the two. I thought Marcel must have been related to Dominic Gaskin.
Yes,
Yes,
you know
yes.
Topaz jewelry in Queenstown.
Pardon?
He's a jeweler, Elizabeth. Dominic is a jeweler.
Yes, he used to be a minister as well.
Okay.
Oh, okay, but
Yes, they are brothers. They're
Natasha, Rod, Natasha's last name is Gaskin Peters. So I don't know if she's divorced or something or whatever, or she's a Gaskin. And that's why I wanted to find out if there's a connection, because she's very easy to talk to. I
okay.
can almost always get hold of her, but I don't have information to get from her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
just talking about how the programs can collaborate.
All right. Okay.
But Elizabeth, it's clear that the Board of Governors is where we need that basic connection, as Leland's saying, to get to the next level, to get all of those people in the school, especially the headmistress, and then whoever's Mrs. Henry. And then Samantha Liverpool is actually, by the way, Rod, that's the name you need. Samantha Liverpool is actually the IT teacher who is in charge of the lab. Okay. So I got Miss Henry, who is the department head, and then you have Samantha Liverpool.
Yeah.
Now, Leland, just for you, when I spoke to Samantha twice, it was like when I asked her a question, it was almost like a giggle. What do you need? She doesn't have any information for me. That's why what we are realizing is that there's a lack of communication even within the school. So we do need that headmistress on our side, you know.
You see, there's a lot of infrastructure that need to be done in order to get things done successfully. So you must have the infrastructure to do those things. And when she says that she can't answer that, it's because there's no infrastructure.
Well,
but that is the first thing that has to be done first.
Correct. Yep. Well, that is why it's been such a difficult problem trying to get hold of any information to do with not whether the room is wired, the old IT room, which can't be used because it's old and defunct, right? In so many ways. Even the two IT guys who've already visited there said you can't use those places. And on Sunday, John Campbell, who is the president of New York chapter, was just down, and he said, guys, you can't use that room. The floor is horrible. There's wires taped on the floor. Some of the desks look like they're man-made with some carpenter who would not even do good work. I mean, so he's saying the same thing you were just saying. There's no infrastructure. Nobody seems to know what's going on.
Anyhow, leave that to us to determine and to have discussions with her when you get the green light for us to have that. And then we'll report, obviously we'll report back to you guys to say, these are some of the things that she can answer. These are some of the things you can't answer. And based on what you can't answer and what can happen, this is how we may have to adapt the program. So you leave that to us, Dave.
I agree. All right. So that brings us to number 5, which is what we're talking about now, is that connectivity, okay?
Yeah.
The project, in other words, is going ahead. It's just a question of trying to get all the pieces together. Now, one of the things that I did want to talk about under any other business, unless anybody has anything still on number 5? Any questions?
Not from me.
No.
Okay. Under any other business, what I wanted to be able to talk about now was the funding request proposal. Okay. Now, Rod, let me share my screen. Can you
Yeah, you got it. You got co-host.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I want to show you something. I need some information on this. Show you. Hold on a second. Oh, where are we? Just bear with me a minute, guys. Hang on a second, I'll be right with you. I wanted to show you what I have so far in terms of what the funding proposal will look like, okay? Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. This is where we're at right now, because once the website goes live, we need to be able to have a funding proposal ready to go. So I'm just going to briefly show you. You probably can't see much of the screen, I guess. We can't turn the page. Huh. 1 second. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to do.
I see the overview.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get. But I'm not trying to turn the page. That's what I'm looking. There we go. Okay, so I did an overview. All right. And all I wanted to do is to show you what's going on here. This is what the proposal will look like when we go for funding. I'm going to be sending this out in a week, and I would like everybody's input. There's not a rush anymore, but I would like your input. It's about 6 pages.
If I can let you know, Dave,
Sure.
that both Dennis and I have looked at these pages, and that's what we will talk to you during the week. We have reviewed it already.
You've reviewed the rest. How many pages did you review?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages.
Oh, so you got to where, all right, not a bad problem then. Since you guys are reviewing that, that's fine.
The other thing as a suggestion,
yes,
if you can put on the page numbers at the bottom.
I will do that. That was the first thing I remembered. Yes, I will do that. So we had the organization, okay? And these are all the pieces of the puzzle. So you saw all of these already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, here's why I wanted to show you guys this. Under the project design and somewhere around evaluation and tracking is where the Kronos, because I've actually spoken to Kronos about this and some of the other platforms that are saying, when you go for funding, it's helpful to show what your process is, okay? Which you guys are working on in terms of getting from A to Z. But Kronos is the platform, and because it has a lot of a very good reputation, they're saying to include it somewhere. And I haven't decided how to do that yet. But this is what the process will look like, evaluation and tracking, all right? Now the funding sources, I have probably about 5 or 6 pages of companies and corporations and grantors to send this out to. So to me, that's why I mentioned that costing is not the problem right now. It's making sure that everything else is in place before we go for the funding. I'm looking to make this a 5-year process for $500,000, okay? So $100,000 a year should put us in some kind of a reasonable plan based on the information I have so far. And Launcey Conyers, the New York chapter accountant, is actually working with me on this program. Okay, should be finished with the budget hopefully sometime this week. Okay, so that kind of gives you an overview. And this page will be very brief. This is just to be going to whoever it'll be an individual page. Okay, very brief page. They're saying your cover page should be just very short. Okay, tell them what you need, why you need it for, how much, and what your expectation is. Okay, the rest of the pages you guys are looking at is what's important. All right, so let me stop my sharing there. All right, I don't know if you saw that. All right, so that's shut my bolt for today.
So sometime during the week, when
Yes.
when I find out when Dennis is available, we'll give you a call to see if you
Okay.
are available to go
All
over the
right.
document.
All right, not a problem. By the way, this is the page, this is the face page of 26 pages that I actually was trying to get some legal help for. It is so much. I really thought that this thing would have been something I was told by many people, oh yeah, you can do it. It ain't that simple. The print is so faint, so small, it's like 8-point font, and it's tremendous work. Come on up. Kerry had given me Jonathan Sobrian. I don't know if anybody knows that name, but he was working for the US Treasury.
He's a lawyer, isn't he?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's what I was told.
Yeah.
If he worked for the US Treasury.
Yeah, I know him.
I gave him the form last week. And to tell you the truth, I haven't heard back from him yet. So I've got to get on his case, man. I haven't really followed up. All right.
Dave, I have a question.
Sure, Vince. Go ahead.
At the Toronto chapter meeting,
Yes.
you showed a video towards the end of the meeting on the GAN video.
Your website, yeah.
Are you going to show that again to the team?
If you'd like to see it today, sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If everybody has time.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? You saw it before. Okay, I'll do it again.
Well, is it anything different from what we saw, Dennis?
The one I saw was different from the one we did a couple of months ago.
Yeah, well, it's been updated, you know?
Yeah.
It has been updated.
Yeah.
Again, the website has been updated.
Well, I thought the update looked pretty good, and I thought everyone may want to see it.
Okay, I agree. No problem. Here it is. All right, so there it is. Now, I was telling you that word technology is where a Kronos type platform will become available, okay? And that'll go directly into another page. Here is what the program looks. I'm changing this now to we're developing to we have developed. Hopefully by the time we're ready, we have developed a career program, okay? The mentor with us will also go back to that page. Now, see, we had to put something in here. If you guys remember, Dennis and Leland, we talked about this at the beginning, what we're trying to showcase. That's all it is. Doesn't mean that this is where we're going to be doing this, but I got to tell you, agriculture and oil and gas is definitely something that the country needs. Probably healthcare as well. And I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on what's going on in Guyana now with solar panels. Solar industry is huge. They're putting up a big new process in Lethem. There's a lot of stuff going on with that, okay? Now we're trimming it down so that there's not a lot of extraneous material in here, okay? For the time being, everything will be under constant review. And there is phase 3, okay? At some point, we'll be expanding the program. At the bottom, stay in the loop. There's the email. And at some point, maybe the other associations will be linked to the bottom of here as well, okay? They won't be on the home page at the top. Now let me go to about, because this is the other part. Now we're asking for partners. So when companies be looking on the site, they'll be able to see that we're trying to now, as I said here, we're raising $500,000 to provide a career guidance, okay? Rod, here is where I want some student material, pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
You promised me some pictures in
I will bring, I'll get them once I'm in Guyana. I'll get them.
And our website guy is saying we need a short video, which, by the way, from the math camp, they have a beautiful short video from the math camp talking about the one that was just completed, and the students were giving a little vocal thing about why they thought it was so good. This is the kind of stuff, Dennis, that's needed from the students. Now they, by the way, during the math camp, which I didn't even know until Sunday, during the math camp in Guyana, they were taken to a factory tour of Schlumberger in Houston. And Schlumberger is one of the ExxonMobil downstream companies that are providing all kinds of delivery services for oil and gas. And apparently the students were all gung-ho about it, okay? So that's kind of the thing that will be in here as well, okay? But we definitely need student material in here, okay? I want the Queen's College uniforms and the students to be in here.
All right.
This is our team, all right? And we got some places down here, if you notice the names, okay? Now, we thought about putting out more stuff, but that's it. We might have a few more names in here as well. And then the email again at the bottom, okay? Now, this contact is where students, based on Kronos, this name is going to change because contact is going to be where students will be able to log in. How far do you want to go? This is particularly now for students. And at some point, they will be transferred straight into the Kronos program. But get in touch with us. There's our email, okay? This again, I'm going to need some feedback from you folks. And you're right, Dennis. Maybe you guys need to look at this a little more with me to see what's attractive to young people now, because we need some social media input in here, okay? Unfortunately, I'm going to have my address in here because at this point, that's all we got. See, get in touch. This will need to be more focused towards students. I want students to look at this and go, oh man, this is something we could get involved in. You get it? And maybe each one of these places should have a little video. Get it? About a tour of a facility. One of the whatever. There's so many things that come to mind to this right now. Okay. You probably are aware of the new bridges, the new highways that are being built. So maybe a little bit of a vignette would show them that, hey, stuff is happening in there now. All right. And then you're going to get the mentor. Now, this is for mentors. Okay. So we're looking for collaboration. I have to write something in here about trying to invite mentors into the program. And here's where their information will be initially. Once we have this information will be turned over to Kronos. It'll be in their database. We don't have to upkeep this. That's what's nice about this. We don't have to administer this program. Everything will be in the platform. Okay. All right. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to see, Dennis, but this is.
No, that's good. That's good.
You like it? Okay.
I think there were a couple of slides in the 10-page presentation we did about 3 or 4 months ago. I have to look at it again because we had a couple good slides in there.
And what, you think we could use them in here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hold on a second, Dennis. That, you know, we put a lot of work into that. Hold on.
Yeah.
You better believe we did, buddy.
I better believe we put a lot of work into it. You guys did most of this work. All right.
Exactly. That's it.
Tell me where, and actually, the website guy loved it. He said, you guys did a lot of
you see, that slide, I think we wanted to keep.
This one?
Yeah.
Because
you know something, that is correct. You're right. All right.
But the only problem,
Dennis, I know you didn't particularly like this slide, but the website guy took pieces of this.
Let me tell you something about this slide. You know, we put the names here in our, let's just make believe on our career guidance. And if we were talking to students about oil and gas, and we can't just talk to students about oil and gas in career guidance, we have to tell them the opportunities. Right now in Guyana, there are about 30 different job sections that a graduate can move towards in oil and gas in Guyana.
Only 30?
That's all I've discovered so far. And down the road, I believe that that Exxon is going to opening some. The story is that Exxon will be opening some more academic institutions that will address all the subsections of oil and gas that graduates can start thinking about if they wanted to get into that field.
Actually, Dennis, stay there for a second. Stay there for a second. That is pretty important because one of the things that I recently come across is the fact that Exxon is spending $100 million on an institute for technical training.
Yeah.
And I was going to try to get to them to say, why don't you put some of that information on our website? So
Exactly.
we can advertise that. You get it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got all of, I've got Mr. Roger Hess, Richard Hess, who's the CEO for Hess. I've got information, but I don't have the guy in Houston who is talking about this 100 million US training set, because they need it in Guyana now. As a matter of fact, they're thinking about putting it in the quarantine. Imagine that. They want to get away from this flooded area downtown. I like this. So what you're saying, Dennis, we don't need this particular slide then, right? Only this one?
Well, this one is, I thought, sets the stage. Well, now we have 4. You've suggested that we have phase 4 now.
Yeah. But phase 4 is a future thing. Let me tell you why phase 4 is important. Once we get the career guidance, and then we get the mentoring program, where to go next? Once they graduate, when I talked to Natasha Gaskin about her program, she doesn't have internships, okay? But she has work projects. But the internships are for young people, 15, 16 years old, saying, you put on a hard hat, go and see what it's like for a couple of weeks. The people like what they see. Maybe you can say, no, this is something you might like. All right. And then you tell them tertiary education or technical training, where they separate and go to one side or the other, you know?
Right.
So it's a lot of work to put this thing together, but it has so much, I don't know, it's so attractive to what the country needs right now. And let me tell you, this Transforming Guyana that Terence Blackman is putting on, it's making some impact. I'm telling you, when the Vice Chancellor of the UG can actually say on the program, what we desperately need is human development, okay? And she's saying at all levels. And she brought it up, she said vocational training. There's none of that right now. So I'm trying to pull her into this as well.
You need to mention humanities. She's big.
That's right, humanity. Yep.
Yeah, she's big into that.
Good stuff. So things are happening. Thanks, Dennis. You think we could put this one in, eh? What about this one? What about this one?
Yeah, no, that is excellent.
Yes.
I like this slide.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the mentor guy got this. I mean, the website guy got this from me. Yeah.
Yep.
And I will put a phase 4 in, but it's down the road a bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest you put in a phase 4 at the moment.
I
think you leave it. I agree with Leland. Leave it as it is.
Correct.
You know, we Leland and I, when we've got the questions, it's the bonding of the career guidance and the mentoring. They have to flow into each other.
Correct.
They're not separate.
Nope.
Eventually, they have to be cousins or flow into each other, because one ultimately leads to the other.
Yep. Well, I use some of this in the website, you know what I'm saying? So it's no problem to go back and put this in somewhere. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. I'm hoping, though, through Rod, I'll be able to get some pictures and a couple of small videos. The video for this girl and boy who stood up at the math camp and said, boy, this really showed me what I could do with myself and what I could go become. Right. It was really nice. Couple of, only about a minute and a half, but it was excellent. So I'm trying to get that from the New York chapter because they videotaped it.
Good.
All right. Thank you for that, guys. Thank you. I need this badly, some help. Yep. Good stuff. All righty. I think Elizabeth's still there. I don't know if, okay, I'm just going to stop sharing. All right. Thanks, Rod.
All right. Shall I stop recording now? We done?
We done.
Yep.
Unless anybody else got anything?
Okay.
Elizabeth, you okay?
No. Good work. Thank you.
No, Elizabeth, welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. All righty. Well, hopefully in a month we'll get Marcel's face up there. Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully.
And Rod and Elizabeth, ask him, hey guy, you need to be on our monthly meeting,
No, I'll convince him. I have that power of
Rod,
persuasion.
I'm putting a lot of load on you and Elizabeth on that one. Thank you.
All right,
folks.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Rod.
Thanks a lot.
Have a
Good
good
seeing you,
night,
Dave.
guys.
See you.
Have a good trip.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.